Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Best Football Show. We call this 3 and Out Thursday throughout the season. We know there's no more games, but there are things to get to on the Best Football Show where you can find this right here by downloading your free Odyssey app, Odyssey.com, liking the Best Football Show, subscribing to it, following it. This, football doesn't sleep. We're 365, 24/7. I am taking a vacation. I will be out of here starting tomorrow up until February 24th. Anyways, you can find me at Baldy NFL across all the platforms. 2.2 million followers on Instagram, 500,000 followers on X, and then everything else that's out there. YouTube, TikTok. So over 3 million followers. You can follow me. I'd love to have you join me and follow along for the ride. Let's just kind of generically look at what happened basically on Tuesday. Clint Kubiak leaves Seattle to go to the Raiders. No surprise, wasn't shocked. That was forecasted well in advance. The Raiders couldn't make the signing until Seattle was bounced out of the playoffs. Obviously, Super Bowl 60 victories, and flowers to everybody involved in the organization, from the owner to John Schneider to Mike McDonald to Leslie Frazier to Aiden Durda, all the way to Clint Kubiak and all the way down to the players. But when you win, you lose. All right? It's been going on with the Rams, with Kansas City. It went with Andy Reid in Philadelphia for years. It's going on in Philadelphia right now, losing Parker Washington to the Dallas Cowboys to be their defensive coordinator. When you win, you lose. And so the Raiders win, but they lose their play caller, their offensive designer. And it's important because the year before, Mike McDonald's first year, they hired Ryan Grubb from the University of Washington, who was the offensive coordinator up there with Michael Penix Jr. and going all the way to the national championship game. It looked like a good hire, didn't work out. And you look at Tampa last year, they lose Liam Cohen to the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps turn that franchise around. So Tampa, you look at what Tampa did, and they've got quality guys there. Todd Bowles been around a long time. He just elevates Josh Grizzard to the offense coordinator position in Tampa's offense, albeit Mike Evans gets hurt, the running back gets hurt, et cetera, et cetera. There's injuries, starting with the left tackle in preseason. I mean, they had their share of injuries. But Baker didn't look anything like he did under Liam Cohen. Nothing. And so, now Tampa moved on from Josh Grizzard. He goes to Philadelphia to be whatever offensive passing coordinator he is now, with the decisions they've made to move on from Kevin Petullo. So the coaching carousel is always spinning. But just because you think you know somebody, just because in Tampa's situation, Josh Grizzard has been there, just because Kevin Petullo was there under Kellen Moore and was there the whole time under Nick Sirianni, you think you know somebody. It was a disaster in Philadelphia. And I know Kevin Petullo pretty well. I've talked to him during the season. You're under immense pressure when the offense isn't clicking and you have all this talent and paying all these players and it's not working. And so Sean Mannion comes in, along with Josh Grizzard. Maybe they can, and they bring in Chris Cooper, to the offensive line coach. And there's all these changes, but you don't really know until you get out there next year and you see how it goes. Can the Seahawks supplant Clint Kubiak? Can Clint Kubiak put a staff together after all 9 other teams have filled their head coaching searches and a lot of the position coaches that go with it? It's a huge issue. I was just at the Senior Bowl, I guess, a week and a half ago. And, for a lot of the Senior Bowl, there is the evaluation of players. But there's also a lot of coaches that are out looking to get back in. They are in one place looking to go to another place. There's a lot of coaching searches that go on at these bowl games. So that's that. 3 and Out Thursday has been a lot of fun this year. Just the wisdom that you get looking forward to the next week. So what I wanted to do today was kind of lay out what the offseason looks like. You look at Seattle okay, in the Raiders and the issues they have just on the coaching side of things right now. Well, I mean, don't look now, but the scouting combine in Indianapolis, where you get a first, up close look at the players, right? And you get a chance to interview them. That begins February 24th in Indianapolis. I'll be there from the 26th to the 28th. So basically the last week of February, which is coming up pretty soon, like in 10 days, the scouting combine comes on. And I'll just give you a couple stories. Like, for example, I saw Texas A&M in Texas this year at Memorial Stadium, Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. And I announced that game for national radio on Black Friday. So the Eagles were playing the Bears earlier in the day, and then later in the day, Texas and Texas A&M were playing. And Texas A&M is loaded with prospects. They were undefeated at the time. And I met Casey Concepcion. I met Cassius Howell. I met some top flight prospects, right? Well, you go watch Casey. First of all, you meet Casey Concepcion, okay? And then you watch him warm up, and then you watch him play. Things change when you see and meet a person in person. It's no different than a job interview. I'm face-to-face communication, face-to-face watching players. That's why these scouts go to all these games. They watch them move, because scouting is basically the study of movement. And Indianapolis is a place where a lot of these coaches that haven't seen these players live get a chance to watch them run. I remember last year on Friday, I'll never forget this, Friday night last year in Indianapolis, I'm there, and I'm in the end zone purposely. I could have sat on a couple different boxes, Steelers. I mean, I could have sat in different boxes, right? But the linebackers were warming up and running in the end zone. So I couldn't help but not take my eyes off Jihad Campbell, who ran that night. I'll never forget. He ran a 4.52 at like 238 pounds. It was elite. But you just watch him warm up, stretch, practice, move. You watch him in all the drills, and you go, that's a first-round pick. Like, I'm not overstating it. Like, I didn't know. Like, you don't draft a lot of off-the-ball inside linebackers in the first round. Luke Kuechly, obviously. I mean, you find them. But it's not a high-priority position. It never has been in Philadelphia. They haven't drafted a guy off-the-ball inside linebacker in the first round since they drafted Jerry Robinson out of UCLA in 1979. So the Eagles don't do that, but they saw what I saw. They saw an elite athlete with size and production and pass rush ability. But my point is, this combine is really important. We feel pretty certain Fernando Mendoza is going to be the first player taken, and he's going to go to the Raiders. Much like at this time last year, we thought Cam Ward would be the first player taken. We didn't know who the second quarterback was going to be necessarily, but we thought Cam Ward was going to be the guy. Now, I went to his pro day, and we'll get to that. But all along, we kind of felt after the year he had at Miami and what he did at Washington, like all the places he was, you kind of felt like Cam Ward was going to be. And I feel like the same way about Fernando. But, when you look at this right now, can Ty Simpson from Alabama with a good, combine workout and what he's put on tape, although he didn't finish the year real great, but he's been a starter. Can Ty Simpson get into the first round? Can Garrett Nussmeier, who did not have a great year at LSU, but had a very good Senior Bowl week and game? I remember going to a high school quarterback collective camp in Indianapolis, like in 2021. And at the camp was Garrett Nussmeier, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. I mean, it was an elite prospect camp. And I remember sitting with all those guys in the film room, setting up Baldy's breakdown, showing them coverages, how do you attack the coverages, what route combination do you do against quarters versus cover two versus single high, cover one, just going through basic stuff. I mean, all four of these guys were elite. Caleb was amazing. And then you watch Caleb throw the ball, you're like, oh, he's going to be the first. And he was in high school in D.C. at the time. That's going to be a top flight pick, and he was, and he is. But that's what's next on the calendar is okay, we have the scouting combine in Indianapolis. It's attended by all 32 teams. Each team has a box, at the stadium there in Indianapolis, and all their scouts sit in the box and they cater food and they've got their binoculars out and they're watching players and they're getting all the times and somebody's recording all the information, whether it's vertical jump or long jump or, all this stuff is recorded, right? So it's important just to get the measurables, shucks, I'm just blanking on some of these guys right now, but, or is Diego, I'm blanking on some of the college kids right now. It doesn't matter. But, we just want to see, how tall are they, wingspan, all that stuff. All right. So then you finish the combine, you record all this stuff, and then we get to free agency. Okay? Free agency then, and you look at the teams that are in the Super Bowl, and you look how they spent their money in free agency. Now, albeit Seattle and New England had a lot of money to spend, but you think about New England, Morgan Moses, free agent, right? You look at Stephon Diggs, free agent. You look at Austin Hooper, free agent. You look at Robert Spillane, starting middle linebacker. You look at Milton Williams. You look at Harold Landry. I mean, you just go through the list of guys that they struck. I mean, every one of those players they struck, and I didn't even get to all of them. And then you look at Seattle, all right? Cooper Kupp, okay? Sam Darnold, all right? You look at Tank Lawrence. I mean, you just go through all of the guys that they signed, okay, in free agency and how valuable all those players were. Eric Sauber, tight end, right? So free agency is hugely important. And, we always kind of rank the teams who've got the most amount of money. And I don't have the list in front of me, but I will. And then people are doing certain things with moving player contracts around to try to create more money so that they can go out and get the top flight players. So that starts like March 8th or 9th, right around there. There's a 2-day period. There's a negotiation period now where that starts. But basically, by the time you get to March 10th, we've had the combine and we've had free agency. Okay. And then it's all about the draft. Okay. And then you restart the pro days. Okay. And last year I went to 3 pro days. March 24th last year, I was at Cam Ward's pro day at the University of Miami. And there had to have been 300 scouts, NFL people, coaches that were in attendance, including everybody at Tennessee. I think they had 8 or 10 representatives from Tennessee. I was there to interview him, to actually do the commentary on his pro day, the 58 or 60 throws that he had. It was all scripted. But after you met Cam Ward, you watched him throw it, and you sat down with him. He was the last. I'll never forget. I think he was the last person in the building. Mario Cristobal had gone. All the other players from the University of Miami, Arroyo, all the guys, different guys that worked out that day, they had all kind of come and gone and went. And there was Cam at the end, first pick. But then 4 days later, I was at Penn State, and I was watching their tight end at his pro day. And I went all the way to, Shedeur Sanders in his pro day, and in Hunter, Travis Hunter, his pro day, those guys at University of Colorado. So these pro days are really valuable. It's a chance to really watch these guys work out, whatever position it might be, to really watch them throw it if they're a quarterback, to watch them run if they're in another position, to sit down and talk to them, to see how they mingle with their teammates, to see, what their just personality and some of their skill sets are off the field. So that's valuable. And then that finishes generally by the end of March. Basically, maybe the first week in April. So then you also, during that stretch of pro days, all the teams will have their 30 official visits. They're allowed to bring players in for physicals, interviews, private workouts, etc. So then all we were doing right now, starting really at the Senior Bowl, and I also announced the Hula Bowl and the American Bowl. We must have had 300 scouts at the Senior Bowl, at the Hula Bowl this year, America Bowl, 500 scouts. So you got the bowl season, East-West Shrine. I wasn't there, but so you got 4 bowls, HBCU bowl game, basically got 5 bowl games. So it's just about accumulating information on these players. Yes, I was thinking about Diego Pavia when I was talking about the quarterback I was blanking on, but I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, how tall is Diego Pavia? Is he 5'10"? Because I don't think he is. It's going to make it's going to be important to get an official measurement on him. Anyways, so we're just accumulating information, okay, from the bowl season to the scouting combine in Indianapolis, to the pro days, to the private workouts leading up to the draft at the end of April, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be in Pittsburgh this year. It's going to be awesome. I'm born in Pittsburgh. We're going to see the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers for those 3 days. Thursday night, I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but at the end of April, we're going to get 3 days of the draft. And if you look at the 2 teams in the Super Bowl, you think about Seattle, the winner, Graves Abel at left guard, Nick Imanwari, in the second round. I mean, you just go through the list of guys and what they did, supplanting, just filling in gaps in their team and what they've done through the draft. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's the star, but Devin Witherspoon. You just go through the guys, Drake Thomas. You just go through the guys that they have drafted. You look at Seattle, what they did in the draft, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson and Travion Henderson and, Craig Woodson at safety. I mean, they just, the top 4 picks all started for them. So, or all played a great deal for them. So that's all important. So that's my 3 and Out Thursday. That's the outline. I'll be in Indianapolis for the combine. I'll be there for 3 days. I will be at some of these pro days, and I will be heavily involved with the draft. I will be probably in Los Angeles at the NFL Network studios for free agency and what teams are spending their money on and how they're spending it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll be there all along the way, giving you firsthand information, insight, guys I talk to, teams I talk to, pro days I'm at, and what I see, because it does make a difference when you see these guys live. I'll never forget 11 years ago, I was on the field interviewing players at the combine, and I remember Leonard Williams was a defensive end tackle at the University of Southern California. He was projected to be a top 10 pick. I remember talking to him down on the field, 6'5", 295 pounds, and, very excellent speaker, presented himself very, very well. At that time, we were in love with his frame, his size, how he used his hands. I wouldn't say it worked out well with the Jets, maybe not well with the Giants, but obviously he was a guy that is taking care of himself, that is just a hell of a guy, period, all the way around. Well-rounded, just got married this offseason to the same girl he's been with since he left USC. Just got married, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. And he sort of coined the phrase, the dark side. So who knows who I'm going to meet, talk to, who's going to end up 10, 11 years down the road being one of these players that helps the team get to their final goal of winning a Super Bowl. All that is coming up on the Best Football Show. So I hope you join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do the same thing we've been doing. We'll do 3 days a week once I get back from vacation. And then we'll start building our off season. And I hope you follow along with us throughout the off season. It's going to be a lot of fun, everybody. These teams that are all out of it, 30 teams that didn't play in Super Bowl 60, have been busy at trying to rebuild their team through coaching staff, coaching changes, new head coaches. They're trying to get to where, Mike Vrabel just did with New England, where they went from winning 3 games to winning 14 games and into a Super Bowl championship. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Look forward to talking to you real soon.